Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to give you 7 tips that I have learned from taking over 1,000 sales calls. I've taken over 1,000 sales calls for my social media marketing agency in the last 2 years, but I've also taken a lot of sales calls from when I was a freelancer and also when I did some sales for an online fitness coach. So I know how to sell over the phone if it's my own services that I'm selling, me personally, if it's my business, or if it's actually for someone else. Now, if you're wondering how was I able to get 1,000 sales calls for my social media marketing agency, the answer is pretty simple. One was that I found a proven way of booking meetings, which was usually through outreach on Instagram. 2, I built a system, so I built out scripts and SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, basically just general guides that I could then give to a virtual assistant to do for me. And step 3 was simply just rinse and repeat. Okay, so we got one virtual assistant in with our script, following our SOP. Once it was proven that that was working, then we hired a second virtual assistant and a third. If you want to learn more about that, click the link below, join the 6-Figure Accelerator program, and I will teach you my entire process. Okay, now back to the video, right? I'm not going to waffle on about the sales calls. I'm just going to get straight into the 7 tips that I have for you. Tip number 1, you need to laugh and add humor to your sales calls. When I first started taking sales calls, I was very serious. I was very nervous before my calls, and I wouldn't want to deviate from my script, and I definitely wouldn't joke around. This obviously came across as very robotic, very inhuman, and very corporate. I don't know when I had the realization, but somewhere along the journey, I had the realization that I need to actually be a little bit more human, right? I need to be more okay. And I think it came about because I was just more confident. I had done more sales calls, I'd done maybe 50 or 100. So I had my confidence, right? I knew what to expect, and my nerves for each call obviously dramatically reduced. And so the reason I'm telling you to add humor and to actually laugh when you're on a sales call, it gives that human feel to the conversation, which is really key. People like to buy from people. I found that on the calls in which I laugh with them and they laugh with me, our close rates are much higher. Now, of course, if you're speaking to someone and they're super serious and you crack a joke and they don't laugh, don't keep cracking jokes, right? You've obviously got to adapt to the scenario. If someone just wants to get straight to business, go straight to business. But if someone hops on the call and they're, joking around about the weather outside or how crazy it is where they're living right now, add in a joke, laugh with them, relate to them, and be a human. Tip number 2, ask more questions, and not just any questions. Ask more targeted follow-up questions. So you've probably heard it before, right? You have to ask questions on a sales call. That's the whole point of the conversation, right? Is someone is booking in a meeting with you so that you can ask them some questions to basically just validate if what you offer would work for them, and also to see if they'd actually be able to afford and be a good fit for what you offer. Now, you don't want to just ask random questions, right? You want to ask questions that are linked to either what you offer or what you need to find out. So for example, if you ask a business owner, a super general question, right? Hey John, thanks for hopping on. Before we get started, could you give me a quick rundown of all of your marketing right now? What you're doing, who's doing it, how much you're spending, and we'll kick off the conversation from there. If you ask a super general question like that, and then John gives you a quick rundown and he says, we're spending $1,000 a month. We've got an in-house social media person that does some social media on the side, and we're mainly just doing some paid ads on Facebook. You want to now ask questions that are a follow-up of what he's just told you. Okay, so talk about the Facebook ads. Are they getting results? Are they happy with it? Talk about the in-house social media person that does the social media part-time, not full-time. Ask about why they're only spending $1,000 a month. Okay, so you want to ask more questions, but again, guys, they need to be targeted, right? I've seen it before where someone asks a big question like that, right? The prospect gives a ton of information, and then the next question is completely unrelated, right? The next question is cool, how are your sales at the moment? Which is fine. Don't get me wrong. You have to obviously move on, right? You don't just keep talking about the one topic forever, but it is really key because it shows that you're listening, and it shows that you're paying attention to what they're actually telling you, and it shows that you're more interested in learning more about their business. So that's a tip that I've just found invaluable, and that has worked really well to close more deals for myself. Which leads me very nicely to point number 3. You need to be an amazing listener. Okay, this is not something I can teach you. I can't teach you how to listen. All I can say to you is that you need to just sit on the call. Right? If someone is speaking, right, the business owner is speaking, the prospect is speaking, sit, listen, do whatever you have to do to be fully engaged. Don't be thinking about what you're going to say next. Don't be thinking about how you look on camera. Just literally listen, right? That's all. That's your entire goal, is just listen to the words they're saying. One thing that I learned was very, very crucial for me was that when I was taking sales calls, I needed to have a good pair of headphones on, where ideally they're noise cancelling so that I don't hear anything else, and the only thing I can focus on are the words that the prospect is saying. That has really, really helped me with sales. It keeps me super focused, and it means that I literally can't listen to anything else. Guys, I could talk about how being an amazing listener is one of the most important things ever. I'm not going to harp on about it too much, but in short, you could take someone who is quote unquote good at sales, right? So they know all the tactics, the high pressure sales tactics, they know all the strategies, and they have the best script in the world. But if you can't listen, even if you have all these things, it's going to be so tough for you. You are going to find it incredibly hard to close deals. Point number 4, record and analyze all of the calls that you take. Now look guys, I know it can be super cringy, right? When you have to record yourself on a call and then you've got to listen back to it because you got to listen to your own voice. But first off, you got to get over that fear. You're always going to have to do this in sales. If you want to be in sales, if you have a marketing business, if you have a consulting, coaching business, whatever, and you're doing sales, you need to be able to listen to your own voice, right? It's just part of the process. So before your prospect joins a call, if you're doing it on Zoom, just click the record button like 1 or 2 minutes beforehand. Just keep it running. If they say, hey, I can see that you're recording the meeting, explain to them why you're recording the meeting and how it could actually be a benefit to them, because you can send them over the recorded version afterwards if they need to review anything with like a business partner or someone else in their team. But I basically just do that, right? Make it a routine. Don't slip up on it. I speak to a lot of people who say, oh yeah, man, I did a sales call, and then I say, hey, show me the recording. Let's listen to it. And then they go, oh, I forgot to do it. Or, oh, I was too nervous to hit the record button. No, just do it before someone joins. A minute beforehand, put it on. It's on now, and go in with the mindset of, oh, I can just delete the call when it's done. But you don't delete it then, because then it's done. Then you have to take the time out to take a notepad, listen to that call, put it on 2x speed, whatever, and take notes. Because guys, if you're taking sales calls right now in your business and you're not analyzing them, like anything, if you don't know the numbers and you don't analyze, how are you going to improve? Like seriously, how are you going to improve if you don't know what's working and what's not working, right? And the big thing is that when you're on a sales call, you are in the moment, okay? So you might actually miss some cues that the prospect has signaled to you, right? Maybe they changed their body language, maybe they rolled their eyes, maybe they sat back in their chair. You're gonna miss those things when you're on the call, just because you're so engrossed in speaking, listening, and being present. Whereas when you record the call and you look back, now you can take that kind of third eye view and you can see it a lot more clearly. So things you want to be looking for are like, when does the person get engaged? When do their eyes light up? When do they crack a smile, right? Or when have they kind of seemed distant and bored and it just looks like they're staring blankly at you? You want to identify all of those key areas, and of course then you got to improve on it. Which brings me to number 5, right? If you're not tracking something, how are you going to get better at it? So what you need to be doing is tracking your calls, tracking your close rates, and all of the numbers that come with sales, okay? If you are not tracking your show up rates, your close rates, and pretty much any other sales metric, again, how do you improve it if you don't know the numbers? Point 6 is that I want you to build an effective CRM, customer relationship management database, for your sales process, because taking a sales call is one part of the process. Oftentimes you're going to close a deal on the call, but for my agency, we get a ton of clients that don't sign up directly on a call. The call is more just a discovery call to get more info of what we do, ask some targeted questions, and give them all the info. And very, very often they'll come back within 1, 2, 3 weeks after we followed up with them, and they say, hey, cool, Adam, you know what, sounds good, sign me up, let's do it. So you need to make sure that you have a CRM built out so that if someone attends your call, you can add a task to yourself that you'll get notified in 1 to 2 weeks to follow up with John about X, Y, and Z. In my CRM for my agency, which again, this is something I teach in my 6-figure accelerator program, link to that is in the description. We've got a pretty cool CRM where if someone doesn't show to a call, all I have to do is literally drag them from book the call, which is the current stage they're in, to the next stage, which is no show or miss the call, and they automatically will get an email from me with links to what we offer and a link to rebook a call, but also they'll get a follow-up. And my last final tip for you is that you should prime your prospects before you hop on a call with them, okay? So if you don't have any client results, right, you're brand new, you don't have client testimonials, okay, it's going to be tough for you to prime them because you need to be priming them with stuff that puts you in a good position, right? So that stuff is client results, so that can be screenshots, that can be campaigns you've run together, that could be testimonials, basically anything that shows the prospect that you know what you're doing and you've got social proof behind what you do. And so the reason you want to basically do this before the call is so that they're coming into the call with no doubts about what you do. You don't want someone coming onto the call being like, this all sounds good, but I don't know if you can get results, right? If you have the results, you need to make sure that that person understands and can clearly see the results you get. So a very simple way we do this is that when someone books a call, they get sent a link via Calendly directly to one of our sales pages, which has a ton of testimonials, results, and basically just feedback from our clients. I would say at least 70% of people see that before they come on the call, which puts us in a very nice position. Time and time again, someone is on the call and they're like, oh yeah, I saw your video with X, Y, and Z, or I saw the piece of content you created with X, Y, and Z. And obviously that means they've seen the stuff, they've looked through what we do, and they don't really have those doubts. So guys, to wrap up, I'm gonna read those points out for you now if you wanna bullet point them and write them down, or if you skip to the end of the video, okay? So point number 1 is that you have got to laugh and add humor to your sales calls. 2 is that you have to ask questions, not just any questions, but targeted follow-up questions. 3 is that you have to be an amazing listener. 4, you have to record and analyze every single call that you take. 5 is that you've got to track your numbers, your close rates, your show up rates, and all of that good stuff. 6 is that you need to build out an effective CRM so you can follow up with your prospects in an efficient way. And finally, you have to prime your prospects before a call with everything that you do and how you do it better than anyone else. So that's a wrap, guys. Those are 7 of the tips that I've put together based off of taking over 1,000 sales calls. And if you want to learn how I run a social media marketing agency that does around $50,000 per month, how I've built it up to be pretty much automated where I don't have to do much of the lead generation or the sales myself, and how it still makes decent money, go down to the description of this, click the link to join the 6-figure accelerator program, have a look around, scroll down to the bottom of the page and book in a call with myself if you have any doubts, any questions, or if you want to ask me anything to see if you'd be a good fit for that program. I appreciate you watching this video and I hope you have a good rest of your day.